The Crystal Rose restaurant sparkled like a jewelry box. Giant glass lights hung from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls. White tablecloths covered every table, so clean they seemed to glow. Rich people sat eating fancy food, their forks clinking softly against expensive plates. Jasmine Carter moved between the tables, carrying a silver tray. She wore a crisp black uniform, and her hair was pulled back neatly. She had worked at the Crystal Rose for 3 years. She knew exactly how rich people liked their food served. Quietly, quickly, and with a smile that never asked questions. Tonight felt like every other Friday night. The restaurant was packed. Men in suits worth more than her car talked about money. Women dripped with diamonds and laughed at jokes that weren't funny. At table 7 sat Richard Sterling. He was the kind of man who snapped his fingers at waiters. His gray suit probably cost $5,000. His watch cost even more. He cut his steak like he was punishing it. "More wine," he said without looking up. "Not please. Not thank you." Just a command. Jasmine filled his glass. She had learned not to react. Rich didn't always mean kind. Bernard, the restaurant manager, stood near the front door. He was a thin man who always looked nervous, like he expected something bad to happen. His job was to keep everyone happy and keep problems out. Then the door opened. Every head turned. A man walked in wearing filthy overalls covered in brown stains and dirt. His boots left muddy prints on the shining marble floor. His hair stuck up in messy clumps. His face was smudged with grime. He smelled like the street, sweat and garbage and rain. The room went silent. Forks froze in the air. Mouths hung open. A woman gasped. The dirty man stood in the doorway like he belonged there. His eyes swept across the room, calm and steady. Bernard rushed forward, his face turning red. "Sir, I'm sorry, but we have a dress code. You can't." "I'd like a table," the man said. His voice was quiet but firm. Not angry, not begging, just certain. Absolutely not. Richard Sterling stood up so fast his chair screeched backward. "This is outrageous. Bernard, remove this vagrant immediately." Other diners nodded. "He's ruining our dinner," someone whispered loudly. Bernard wrung his hands. "Sir, please understand. We have standards. Perhaps if you come back another time, properly dressed." "I have money," the dirty man said simply. He didn't move. "I don't care if you have the Queen's crown." Richard shouted. His face was purple now. "You don't belong here. Look at you. You're filthy. You probably haven't bathed in weeks." The man just looked at Richard. There was something in his eyes, something that didn't match his dirty clothes. Intelligence. Sadness, maybe, like he was learning something he didn't want to know. Jasmine watched from behind the bar. Her heart squeezed tight in her chest. She knew what it felt like to be judged, to be looked at like you were less than human because of how you looked. 3 months ago, a rich woman had accused Jasmine of stealing her bracelet. The woman had found it in her purse 20 minutes later. No apology, just a wave of her hand, like Jasmine was a fly. The dirty man stood alone while the whole restaurant stared at him like he was a monster. Bernard looked around desperately. "Security is on the way, sir. Please don't make this difficult." "Kick him out," someone yelled. "Call the police," another voice added. The dirty man's shoulders sagged just a tiny bit. Just enough for Jasmine to see he was human. Just enough for her to see he was hurting. She made a choice. Jasmine walked across the dining room. Her shoes clicked on the marble. Everyone watched her. She felt their eyes like hot spotlights. She reached the dirty man and looked him in the face. "Sir," she said clearly, "would you like to sit down?" The room exploded. "Jasmine, what are you doing?" Bernard hissed. "Are you insane?" Richard Sterling roared. "I'll have you fired." But Jasmine didn't look away from the man. Up close, she could see his eyes were kind. Tired, but kind. "Yes," he said softly. "I would like to sit." Jasmine led him to table 12 in the corner. She pulled out the chair like he was a king. He sat down slowly like his bones hurt. "What would you like to eat?" she asked. He looked at the menu. His dirty fingers touched the expensive paper. Ribeye steak, Medium rare. Baked potato. Water, please. Coming right up, Jasmine said. She walked toward the kitchen, feeling every eye drilling into her back. She heard the whispers rising like angry bees. Richard Sterling marched over Bernard. Fire her. Fire her right now, or I'll never eat here again. Bernard looked sick. Mr. Sterling, please. That woman just seated a homeless bum in this restaurant. Do you know who I am? I know the owner. I'll have both of you thrown out on the street. The dirty man sat quietly at his table. He folded his hands. On his wrist was a watch, plain steel, nothing fancy. But something about it seemed familiar. Jasmine pushed through the kitchen doors. Her hands were shaking. She might lose her job. She might lose everything. But when she closed her eyes, all she could see was that man's face. Lost. Alone. Human. She grabbed the order ticket and started writing. Outside in the dining room, the storm was just beginning. The kitchen was hot and loud. Pots clanged. Chefs shouted. Steam rose from boiling water like angry ghosts. Jasmine clipped the order to the line. Ribeye, medium rare. Baked potato. Water. Chef Marco looked at the ticket. Then at her. Table 12? That's the homeless guy everyone's screaming about. He's a customer, Jasmine said quietly. Marco shook his head but started cooking. You got guts, girl. Probably gonna get you killed, but you got guts. Jasmine filled a glass with ice water. Her hands still trembled. Through the kitchen window, she could see the dining room. It looked like a beehive someone had kicked. Richard Sterling paced back and forth, talking loudly on his phone. Bernard stood near the wall, wiping sweat from his forehead. Other diners whispered and pointed. And at table 12, the dirty man sat perfectly still, waiting. Jasmine took a deep breath and pushed back through the doors. She walked straight to table 12 and placed the water down gently. Your steak will be ready in 15 minutes, sir. Thank you, he said. His voice was so polite it made her heart hurt. Jasmine! Richard Sterling appeared beside her like a thunderstorm. What do you think you're doing? My job, Mr. Sterling. Your job? Your job. His face was so red, she thought he might explode. Your job is to serve respectable customers, not to bring garbage in off the street. He ordered food. He said he can pay. That makes him a customer. Jasmine kept her voice steady even though her stomach was doing flips. Richard leaned closer. She could smell his expensive cologne. You're nothing. You're a waitress. You're replaceable. But me? I spend $50,000 a year in this restaurant. Who do you think Bernard will choose? The dirty man spoke. She's just doing her job. Richard spun around. You shut your mouth. You have no right to even breathe the same air as us. Look at you. You're disgusting. I'm hungry, the man said simply. Then go eat in a dumpster where you belong. Richard shouted. Jasmine's chest felt tight. She'd seen cruelty before, but this was different. This was hatred, pure and hot. Mr. Sterling, please. Bernard appeared, his voice shaking. Let's not cause a scene. I am the scene. Richard roared. Either this filth leaves, or I leave, and I'll make sure everyone I know never eats here again. I'll destroy you, Bernard. I'll destroy this whole restaurant. Bernard's face crumbled. Jasmine could see him calculating. One homeless man versus Richard Sterling's money and connections. She knew what was coming. Jasmine, Bernard said quietly, I'm sorry. Please ask the gentleman to leave. Something broke inside her chest. But before she could speak, the dirty man stood up. I'll go, he said. No. The word came out of Jasmine's mouth before she could stop it. Everyone stared at her. No. Bernard whispered. His food is cooking. He's done nothing wrong. He's been polite and quiet. If he leaves, I leave. Jasmine couldn't believe she was saying it. She needed this job. She had rent due, bills stacking up. But some things mattered more than money. Richard laughed. A mean, sharp sound. You stupid girl. You're throwing your life away for this thing? The dirty man looked at Jasmine, really looked at her, and she saw something flash in his eyes. Recognition? Respect? Then she noticed his watch again. That plain steel watch with a simple face. She'd seen it before. But where? A memory flickered. 6 months ago. A charity event the restaurant had catered. A man in a perfect suit had thanked her for refilling the coffee. Most rich people never said thank you. But he had. And he'd worn that exact watch. She remembered thinking it was strange that someone so wealthy wore something so plain. The man at the charity event had been clean-shaven, well-dressed. His name tag had said, what had it said? Her brain scrambled for the memory. Last chance, Jasmine. Bernard said, your job or him. Choose. Richard Sterling crossed his arms, smiling like a shark. The dirty man looked at her with those kind, tired eyes. It's okay, he said softly. You don't have to. I choose him, Jasmine said. The dining room gasped. Bernard's shoulders slumped. Then you're fired. Clear out your things. Jasmine's eyes burned, but she refused to cry. She untied her apron slowly. Wait. The dirty man's voice cut through the noise. He reached into his filthy overalls and pulled out a wallet. It was worn leather, stained and old. He opened it and pulled out a credit card. It gleamed black under the chandelier lights. Jasmine knew what that meant. Black cards weren't given to just anyone. Only the super rich had them. The kind of rich that made Richard Sterling look poor. The man placed the card on the table. I'll pay for everyone's dinner tonight. Everyone in this restaurant. Except, he looked directly at Richard Sterling. Table 7. Richard's smile vanished. What? You? You can't possibly. And Bernard, the dirty man continued, his voice still quiet, but now carrying something else. Power. You should know. I own this building. I own the gym downstairs. I own 6 other buildings on this block. The room went dead silent. Bernard's face turned white as paper. You're... The dirty man smiled. It was sad and knowing. My name is Marcus Webb. Jasmine's heart stopped. Marcus Webb, the billionaire, the man who donated millions to rebuild the South Side, the man who owned half of Chicago, the man she'd served coffee to 6 months ago. Richard Sterling stumbled backward. That's impossible. You're lying. Marcus looked at him with eyes that had seen everything. For 3 days, I lived on the streets. I wanted to see how people would treat someone with nothing. Now I know. He turned to Jasmine. His dirty face cracked into a gentle smile. And I know who has a heart worth more than gold. Marcus Webb stood up slowly. Even in his filthy clothes, he suddenly looked different. Taller, stronger, like a king who'd been wearing a disguise. I don't believe you, Richard Sterling said, but his voice shook. This is some kind of trick. Marcus pulled out his phone, cracked and dirty, but when he turned it on, the screen showed emails, contracts, bank accounts with numbers so big Jasmine couldn't count the zeros. Bernard grabbed the edge of a table to keep from falling. Mr. Webb, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. You didn't know because that was the point, Marcus said. His voice wasn't angry, just sad. I wanted to see the truth. And I did. He walked slowly around the dining room. Every person shrank back as he passed. The same people who'd wanted him thrown out now looked terrified. For 3 days, Marcus said, I slept on cardboard. I ate from trash cans. I asked for help. He stopped walking and looked around the room. Do you know how many people helped me? Silence. 7. Out of hundreds. 7 people saw me as human. He pointed at Jasmine. She was one of them. She didn't know who I was. She just saw someone who needed kindness. Jasmine felt tears running down her face. She couldn't stop them. Marcus turned to Richard Sterling. You, Mr. Sterling, you call me garbage. You call me disgusting. You said I should eat from dumpsters. Richard's expensive suit suddenly looked too big for him. I didn't mean, if I'd known. If you'd known I was rich, you would have treated me differently, Marcus finished. That's exactly the problem. He walked to table 7 and picked up Richard's wine glass. He looked at it like it was something dirty. You eat here every week. You spend thousands. But you know what? Marcus set the glass down hard. Your money isn't welcome anymore. You're banned from this restaurant, from the gym downstairs, from every business I own in the city. Richard's mouth opened and closed like a fish. You can't do that. I just did. Marcus pulled out his phone again. I'm also calling my friends who own the other restaurants you like. The Country Club, that cigar bar you brag about. He started typing. By tomorrow morning, you'll find a lot of doors closed to you. This is insane. Richard shouted. I'll sue. You'll what? Marcus stepped closer. You'll tell a judge you were mean to a homeless person and got punished for it? Good luck with that. Richard looked around the room desperately, searching for support. But every single person looked away. No one wanted to help him now. No one wanted to be associated with him. Get out, Marcus said quietly. Richard Sterling grabbed his jacket and stumbled toward the door. At the entrance, he turned back. You'll regret this. All of you. Then he was gone. The door swung shut behind him. The restaurant stayed silent for 3 long seconds. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Then the whole room erupted in applause. Marcus held up his hand, and the clapping stopped. Don't applaud. Most of you wanted the same thing he did. You just didn't say it out loud. The room got quiet again. People looked down at their plates. Ashamed, Marcus walked back to Jasmine. She stood frozen, tears still running down her face. You lost your job because of me, he said. It's okay, Jasmine whispered. It was the right thing. Yes, it was. Marcus smiled. That's why I want to offer you a different job. Jasmine blinked. What? Bernard is a good manager, but he forgot something important tonight. He forgot that restaurants are about people, not just money. Marcus looked at Bernard, who was sweating bullets. Bernard will stay as manager, but he needs help. He needs someone who remembers what kindness looks like. Marcus turned back to Jasmine. I want you to be assistant manager. You'll help run this place. You'll train the staff. You'll make sure every single person who walks through that door is treated like a human being, rich or poor, clean or dirty, everyone. Jasmine couldn't breathe. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Marcus said. The pay is triple what you made as a waitress, plus benefits, plus a signing bonus to cover any bills you're worried about. Yes. The word burst out of her. Yes, yes, yes. Marcus laughed. A real laugh that made him look young despite the dirt on his face. Good. You start Monday. He turned to the kitchen. Someone still cooking my steak? Chef Marco stuck his head out. Almost done, sir. Perfect. I'm starving. Marcus sat back down at table 12. Jasmine, take a break. Eat with me. Are you sure? I'm sure. Jasmine sat down, her legs shaking. She couldn't believe this was real. The steak came out, perfect and sizzling. Marcus cut into it and took a bite. Delicious, he said. They ate together while the whole restaurant watched. A billionaire in dirty clothes. A waitress who'd chosen kindness over safety. When they finished, Marcus pulled out that black credit card. He handed it to Bernard. Everyone's meal tonight is on me. Like I said, except Mr. Sterling would have paid. Bernard took the card with trembling hands. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. And Mr. Webb, I'm truly sorry. You should have seen the person, Marcus said. Not the clothes. That's what you'll learn. That's what everyone here will learn. He stood up and looked around the dining room one last time. Money doesn't make you better than anyone else. It just gives you more choices. Choose kindness every single time. Then he walked to the door. Before leaving, he turned back to Jasmine. Thank you, he said, for reminding me that good people still exist. Thank you, Jasmine said, for giving me a chance. Marcus smiled that sad, knowing smile. You gave yourself a chance. I just noticed. Then he was gone, walking out into the Chicago night. Jasmine sat at table 12, holding a napkin he'd signed with his phone number and the words, Call me Monday. We have work to do. Around her, the restaurant buzzed with whispers. The story would spread. By tomorrow, everyone would know what happened at the Crystal Rose. Bernard approached carefully. Jasmine, I'm sorry. I should have trusted you. You should have trusted kindness, Jasmine said. But we can learn together. He nodded, relief flooding his face. That night, Jasmine walked home through the city streets. The same streets Marcus Webb had slept on for 3 days. She looked at the homeless people she passed. Really looked at them. She saw people, not problems. And she understood something deep and true. The clothes people wear don't show you their hearts. Only their actions do. 3 months later, the Crystal Rose became famous across Chicago, not for its fancy food or rich customers, but for being the restaurant where everyone was treated with dignity. At the center of it all stood Jasmine Carter, assistant manager, teaching every new waiter the same lesson Marcus Webb had taught her. See the person. Always see the person. If this story touched your heart, imagine how many others need to hear it. Hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness matters. And subscribe so you never miss stories that change how we see the world. Your share could be the one that changes someone's day or their life. Let's spread this message together.